Coming up on BBC Radio 1 Vintage. From 11, Fabio and Groove Rider. Right now, Tommy Vance.
BBC Radio 1 Vintage.
On 1053 and 1089 kilohertz, also on FM stereo. This is National Radio 1. Well, hello there. This is TV on the Radio. Thomas the Vance here, the music vendor, and welcome to the Friday Rock Show.
Hello, I'm Bruce Dickinson, and I sing a bit. The Friday Night Rock Show was unique.
Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Whitesnake, Aerosmith, Motley Crue.
Tommy was the gold standard because he actively engaged with a band, and he'd say, I love these guys, I'm going to break this lot, and it would work. The numbers of people that came to see you would go up, there'd be all magazine articles about you, totally as a result of Tommy and the power of the Friday Rock Show. That was why it was so legendary. And kids, even kids who weren't in bands, would listen to it as he's like the guru.
Black Sabbath, AC/DC, Rush.
Tommy just galvanized that teenage population who listened to the show.
As always, more rock than you can handle.
Radio.
Time after time after time after time, and I never can play it enough for people because they always say, actually, if I played that once a week, I think people will be genuinely happy around our country. Undeniably the fastest, hardest, probably the most aggressive, and some people might say the most vicious on-stage triptych. Happy to be made up of Filthy Animal, Taylor, Fast Eddie and Lemmy, who are Motorhead. Now, you've just done this gig in Nuremberg. When are you going to go back to the United Kingdom and start stripping the paint off the walls there?
We just rearranged it from January. We put it back to March now. Because we've got to do a new album in between, and they haven't left us a lot of time to do it because we've got to.
Yeah, we've only had 8 weeks at home this entire year, right? And it's now August, and all those 8 weeks has been near enough taken up with interviews and this and that, and photo sessions, and jumping about and looking silly for the camera, you know. So we haven't had any time at all. We've got nothing written for the album, so we're going to have to just stop doing everything and go and hide away and pretend to work for a while, you know.
Let me ask you about how it's gone down in America.
We went down very well, considering we were a support group. We had 35 minutes to play, right? Not really much opportunity for an encore or anything. We'd never been there before, and we didn't have the bomber or anything. We didn't have any of our show, but we came out of it quite well. I thought there was a hardcore of Motorhead fans in every town we went to, you know, wearing the shirts, and they got all the records on import and all that. It was great. And we did 2 shows on our own in Frisco and Los Angeles, and 1 on our own in New York, and they all went really well. We did one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where 7 people turned up.
We cancelled the gig
on our own.
We had to pull that one. Yeah.
When you have to play to a negative audience in America, how do you feel?
Well, you never get the impression that they're negative. You know, what we try to do is sort of turn it around so that you can make it beneficial for yourself, so it's positive and not negative. Right? So you say, we stunned them. They were so stunned that they didn't even clap.
I mean, there's a lot of bands that sound similar within this genre we've been lumped in with, right? But there's nobody that sounds like us, because that's what we're proudest of, right? Nobody sounds like us.
It'd be pretty difficult to sound like us.
It'd be pretty, I shouldn't think that anybody would want to, really, but I mean, we are definitely the only one, so it's the first time for some of them, and poor devils, you know, I mean, no groundwork to prepare them for it or anything, you know.
Why do you remain a 3-piece?
It's cheaper. We get more money each.
Also, it's easier to make decisions, you see. It's never two against 2, right? Democratic decisions, you see. If 2 say yes and 1 says no, the one who disagrees has
Whoever
to.
it is, and whatever the argument is, the other one has to go along.
Yeah.
We've always had that, right?
And we've always had that rule.
And we've always done it.
And you know, as I say, we've had that rule now for 6 years, and it works pretty
That's
well.
one of the few rules we've got we haven't bent yet.
Yeah, right. Well, we can't really afford to. I mean,
we're all going to give up drinking. That was a good one. That lasted nearly an hour.
I'm going to play a track from a new album, new to this country anyway, by a band who've been around for a long time. It's by Aerosmith. band who've swung back into prominence. They're going to be doing some tours, some gigs in this country quite soon. They are called Aerosmith. That is a track from their latest album, just released in the UK, called Permanent Vacation. That was how they used to sound years and years and years ago now, because it is 10 years ago since Iron Maiden hit the stages of various pubs around London and became an absolute cult band. And it's good that the old stuff, rather, has been re-released, this sort of plethora of CDs that is kicking around, because it gives people the opportunity to hear what the band were like in their original form, when they had Paul Di'Anno as their lead singer. They were still a great band then. Not saying, of course, that Bruce hasn't maybe improved what they do, but Paul Di'Anno, well, it's a bit of a shame because he couldn't quite last the course of rock and roll at that time. This is the Friday Rock Show. Rock right across the spectrum. Classic to current. 1FM is the real hot rocker. Good evening, it's Valentine's night. This is from Dave the Dustman to Marcy Tudor Lodge in Bow.
I should have known better than to let you go alone. It's times like these can't make it on my own. Wasted days and sleepless nights, and I can't wait to see you again. I finally spent my time waiting on your call. How can I tell you, babe, my back's against the wall. I need you by my side, tell me it's alright, 'cause I don't think I can take anymore.
knocked on my door the other morning and he said, Tom, you've got to do this for me. So I thought, right. Dave the Dustman. Especially for Marcy, who's working at Tudor Lodge in Bow. Whitesnake.
Radio 1
Vintage. Still to come.
With Metallica, there are very few sort of cover-ups. There are very few fake facades painted in front of you to make the whole thing come across like one big rose garden.
Give us something which you think is an indicator of a period of Black Sabbath that you really enjoyed.
Well, for me, I think the very first song that we did, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I'll go along with that, I think.
The thrill of it all is when you get on that stage and you play your set and the crowd go crazy and you get that vibe. There's not a feeling on this planet like that.
Radio 1
Vintage.
see, all that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die, death to myself, body my only fear. Landmine, that's digging my sight, digging my speech, digging my hearing, digging my arms, digging my legs, digging my soul, left me with life in hell.
Lars Ulrich is our guest from Metallica here on this monster of rock from the United States of America, the Friday Rock Show. And that was called One. It's going to be in their forthcoming album, which is entitled And Justice for All. I don't like to drag it up, and if you don't want to talk about it, then tell me to shut up.
Okay.
But
Shut up.
All right. I haven't even heard it yet. Give us a break, Lars. People still talk about the accident.
Yeah, what's funny about it is that I can sense when people do talk about it with us, they probably feel more uncomfortable about it than we do, which is, I don't know if that's strange or not, but you can tell, as soon as someone brings it up, everyone starts feeling very uncomfortable, and obviously we've, have learned to deal with it now, and we just sort of talk about it as a past, event kind of thing. We find that other people talk more about it than we do. The main thing is that Cliff is still here in our minds too, and with us most of the time. I mean, obviously the accident itself is obviously a pretty grim thing, but the whole thing of looking back on that period and with Cliff and all that, we look just more on the positive side of the whole thing and sort of laugh about it and so forth. So, I mean, we have that kind of a relationship with it more than sort of the real grim and subdued things.
Your subject matter, the things that you write about,
yes,
your lyricism,
yes,
has got a very definite twist to it.
Well, I would like to think that it's a bit different than what most of the bands tackle. The one thing that you'll find is that with Metallica, there are very few sort of cover-ups. There are very few fake facades painted in front of you to make the whole thing come across like one big rose garden. We are not afraid to write about the things that first of all interest us, and first of all to sort of try and interpret some of the things that we see around us into sort of lyrics and subjects. But
people might say that you actually dwell on death and doom, dismemberment and destruction.
It's not really like that. Most of the stuff deals with what different people feel in different situations, try and describe feelings in persons in different situations. It's easy to say that, for instance, an album like Ride the Lightning dealt a lot with death, but that's only, say, half of the story, because most of it is trying to describe what different people in different situations feel like, say, around the moment before death or right after death or whatever. So it's not like, I think what's unique about our approach is that it's very, very indirect, and I think people can really sort of pick up on and interpret what we write in so many different ways.
Takes a long time to make it in rock music. Here's just a little bit of a story for you. Remember Dr. Feelgood, the album by Motley Crue? Well, that sold over 3 million copies in America alone. You would think that would be enough for them to be, if you like, elevated to superstardom. But not so. In the States, to be a superstar, you've got to get a top 10 single. And this did it for Motley Crue.
Without you
About You. That's the current single in this country by Motley Crue. My advice to you, though, is to get the 12-inch version of that, because it includes live versions of Girls, Girls, Girls and All in the Name Of, recorded at the Moscow Peace Festival last August, so it's a good bargain value single there. And of course, that was all broadcast here on Radio 1 FM.
Radio 1
Vintage.
Hi, this is Fabio and Groove Rider. We're up next in 20 minutes.
97 to 99. 1FM, UK's number 1.
Radio 1 on the case and on the scene, as indeed, of course, we're going to be for the whole of Donington this year. Yep, we're doing the lot. I've been doing this show for years, 13 years. I never thought I'd achieve this. I've spoken to Tony Iommi before, but not a lot over the years, not a lot at all. I've never spoken to Geezer Butler, and I've actually got two of the guys who started heavy metal in the studio at the same time. And I quote, just before I quote, welcome.
Why, thank you. Welcome.
I quote this magazine or this book. It says, arguably the band which invented heavy metal with their 1970 debut record.
I think for the sort of stuff we do, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, before that, up until that, there was, Zeppelin and whatnot, which is a sort of different style, a lighter sort of style. I think for the sort of stuff we do, yeah.
We were after a record deal sort of thing, and they just told us that we couldn't have one until we'd written our own songs.
You've got a pile of albums in front of you, old Black Sabbath material. Give us something which you think is an indicator of a period of Black Sabbath that you really enjoyed.
Well, for me, I think the very first song that we did, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I'll go along with that, I think. Because always that initial thing, I mean, that first time we ever heard it played, and when we first wrote it as well, when we first played it, and so the reaction of the kids at that time were sort of stood there with amazement of, well, what's this sort of stuff, you know. Even we wondered what this sort of stuff was. But we went ahead and played it, you know, and people were coming up after saying, oh, that's real different, you know, whose is that? Oh, it's our own, we wrote this, you know. And it was great. It was a great thing for us to be able to do our own sort of material and to have something that was different.
What is this that stands before me? Figure in black, which points at me. Child one name 'cause they're scared. The people better go and beware. No, no, please, no.
Absolute bit of history, that was Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, and in the studio I've got Geezer Butler and Tony Iommi, and can you think of anybody who could do that now and get away with it? That drama, that sort of operatic approach, stretching it all out.
No.
I mean, I can't.
No.
Except Rush. It's a sort of pomposity, it's a grandeur that bands don't have anymore.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get away with it anymore because the audience, I don't think, would have enough patience with it.
That's probably right, yeah.
the prophets were written on the studio wall. A concert hall. Echoes with the sound of salesmen. Of salesmen. Of salesmen.
Last album I did, No Rest for the Wicked, was I read a review on the album from Rolling Stone, which really had I never read reviews because I think they're a load of rubbish, most of them. But this one review that I read on the album really had an impact on me, and the review said, if you like Ozzy Osbourne, you will not be disappointed, but don't expect anything new. And that really slammed me, you know, and so on this album I decided to really try and work on something that was different, you know. I've had a lot of enjoyment making the album. A lot of people didn't believe in it when I first started writing this kind of things, because like you send a demo in on a cheap record and the record company go, oh no, Ozzy, you've got to get, like, you know, the old Sabbath vein back and all this, and I refused to do that, because if that's what I wanted to do, I'd probably still be playing me Black Sabbath, you know. The thrill of it all is when you get on that stage and you play your new stuff and you play your set and the crowd go crazy and you get that vibe. There's not a feeling on this planet like that. You cannot get a feeling of any drug, any sex, any booze, anything. I mean, that is the thrill of it all.
You mentioned there sex, you mentioned booze, you mentioned drugs, you mentioned rock and roll, you mentioned basically a lot of the things that are associated with rock music. But you and I had breakfast this morning at 10 o'clock in probably the best hotel in Hollywood, and you ate fish and you drank 3 cups of coffee, and then it looked like iced tea, and then you had some I think it was raspberries, and you said, this is all I'm going to eat all day. So you evidently have chucked the rest of it out the window.
If I look at food, I gain weight. So I have one main...
people. What do you do for money, honey? And that's it for this edition of the Friday Rock Show, which we most sincerely hope you enjoyed. Following the time tone for midnight, the 275-285 transmitters will be closing down till tomorrow morning. Thanks to my technical operator tonight, whose name is Rick. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Radio 1 rocks right through the night till 6 a.m., incorporating Rock Palace, the live show from Germany that features The Who and the Grateful Dead. So we're on the air till 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. Well, Wilson, are you in training?
Yes, good night from me and my main man, Metal Guru.
Yeah, baby, right. That's all. He's just come back from the States. He's just gone. Walks around chewing gum all the time and picked up some of those desperately bad American habits. I'll see you for Rock On 2 at 5 o'clock tomorrow. I'm Tommy Vance in London. Wherever you are, God bless and good night.